Hello and welcome back, and that is right. Today I want to talk about a brand new Terramaster NAS that I've heard about, sort of, but not really accidentally. Let me explain. So, I was talking with a guy at Terramaster. They're planning a big launch thing happening in September. They've got a bunch of new devices in the works, and they were asking about trying to see about making a video where I talk about a giveaway. There's going to be a giveaway for one of these and the F4-424 and a bunch of WD SSDs, I believe, as well. But we'll talk about it more at the end of the video. During that conversation, it became abundantly clear to me that one of the images they shared with me of their lineup had one cheeky little device that really stood out. It was a small black tower device that they were referring to as the F8 SSD and the F8 SSD Plus. And I kind of asked them information about this, and they got really cagey about it. So then I started looking online and started finding that model ID. I started finding that model ID elsewhere online, and then eventually, after a little bit more pushing, they supplied a little bit more information about it. And that's what this video is. It was supposed to be about some giveaway that they want to work on. Again, I'll bang on about it later. But specifically, I want to talk about the Terramaster F8 SSD and F8 SSD Plus, what we know and unfortunately what we don't. Now, as the name would comfortably suggest, this is going to be an SSD optimized system, an 8-bay indeed, because Terramaster's naming convention is actually pretty darn predictable, and the F8 means it's going to be an 8-bay SSD system, an NVMe SSD system, if I had to have a guess, based on the rest of the information on the particular slide they sent over. Now, the Amazon links I found online seem far from complete, and the pricing has changed dramatically on that. It now shows, I believe, $999 and $1,299 respectively, but we can sort of look at a lot of the information on this press shot to give us a bit more. Straight away, when they're talking about an 8-core i3, chances are they are indeed talking about the N305 CPU. If I had to guess, TBC, which means this is an 8-core, 8-thread processor with integrated graphics on board. A decent little CPU indeed. But this also opens up the door to something like this. This is the Asustor flash store system. It arrived in two different versions. There was the 6 and the 12 Pro. So much like the Terramaster F8 there, two versions in the market. Now, this CPU, the N305, Terramaster wouldn't be the first brand I've ever spoken about where they're running a product family in several different versions, but only ever talking about the one at the top there. So the non-Plus and the Plus version, are they going to have the same CPU? Well, it's hard to say. We simply don't know. But based on that pricing we saw on Amazon, I'd like to hope it's going to be the same CPU, because we already saw the F4-424 and F4-424 Pro deviate towards two different CPUs there. We saw them using the N95 and the N305. We may see the same thing happening here. Now, in terms of memory, they're stating 16 gig of DDR memory, but I will say, personally, that CPU can definitely go higher. So again, whether that's going to be another area where they differentiate a Pro and a non-Pro, it remains to be seen. But I'd like to see maybe one with a max 32 gig, or at the very least a differentiation between the base level memory on both of those systems. Which brings us to the storage. Let's face it, the F8 and F8 Plus, both of them are going to have 8 bays of storage there. And regardless of which one of those CPUs you go for, realistically, it's going to be ×3 ×1 speed. There is just simply not enough lanes, if indeed that is the N305, to really start divvying out much more than that, particularly as soon as we saw that this system's also highlighting 10 GBE. Again, we don't know if the 10 GBE is both models, and they may do exactly what we saw Asustor do and give you 10 GBE here, or 2.5 GBE twice over here. It's hard to say, but coming up on the channel very, very soon, we're reviewing a motherboard that we've got hold of, thanks to a user that recommended it to in the comments of a previous video, and that is the NW-N100 NAS Mobo. It's an ITX motherboard that has 10 GBE on board and supports the N100 and, later on, the N305 CPU. So it's going to become increasingly more affordable to see 10 GBE on systems of this scale. So personally, I'd like to see 10 GBE on both versions, but that price differential we saw on those pages, which, by the way, remember, is completely unconfirmed. For me, $999, even if it is an 8 SSD system without the N305, I'd like to expect it to have a 10 GBE port as standard. So maybe it'll be the N100 CPU, much like that Mobo. Regardless, it looks like both of these devices are still targeted for a September launch. And also, don't lose sight of the fact, when we're looking at that photo of the entire arrangement of solutions, there was a new 6-bay in there as well, and almost certainly a new rack mount there at the back. So Terramaster are really going to go gun-ho on these new solutions, but I think a lot of users, particularly now that flash is becoming a lot more desirable and affordable, and M2 NVMEs are becoming more affordable and desirable, it wouldn't surprise me if this becomes the hit of that selection, at least as far as that portfolio goes there. But, as I alluded to in the beginning, this video was supposed to be about a giveaway. And Terramaster are going to be doing a giveaway for the F4-424 and the F4-10 SSDs as well. So, if that's not already live, it should be linked in the description as soon as it is, or I'll put a pinned comment there at the top. But, what do you think of the idea of a Terramaster Flash NAS? With TOS 6 on the horizon, I believe, with beta experimentation and full release introducing new file service features as well, it's going to be a very good time for them to roll out a flash server system when flash is so desirable. And although last year Asustor did do a tremendously large noise with that flash door system, FlashStore 2 is looking like it's going to be delayed further and further towards the end of the year. So this may be an opening for Terramaster to try to get an elbow towards their competition. But what do you guys think? I'm going to be doing an updated article as soon as I know more about the specifications that I'll update linked below. And after this video, I swear to you, I'm going to get myself some anti-hay fever stuff, because I'll be honest with you, I can't even see right now. I hope you're having a good summer wherever you are. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.